Madam Speaker, the American people are very fed up with their hard-earned tax dollars being sent overseas to countries all around the world, especially when our own border is being completely invaded every single day. We don't have an idea of how many millions of people are in this country. We know that it's upwards of 12 million, while some estimates go as high as 20 million. Our country is being invaded by people from over 160 countries around the world. We're talking about criminals, gang members, cartels, rapists, murderers. All kinds of convicted criminals have come in our countries and are committing crimes against Americans. Our hard-earned tax dollars should not be funding a NATO that wants to continue a war in Ukraine. Our hard-earned tax dollars should be supporting securing our southern border from the invasion of millions and millions and millions of people from over 160 countries in the world. So I wanted to do this video standing right here among all the NATO members that are down here eating breakfast, walking by me, heading into the Nancy Pelosi caucus room to have their meeting. And I wanted to make sure that everyone here knows that Americans do not support funding and paying for the war in Ukraine. Americans are sick and tired of it. We're fed up. We want it to end. Let's talk about Border Patrol apprehensions between ports of entry at the southwest border of terrorists.
And I have to say, it is pretty rich hearing the gentleman from Georgia express her concern about terrorism when she literally was selling defund the FBI t-shirts and hats on her website for $30 a piece. $30 for the shirts and another $30 for the hats. You don't get both for just the $30. The leading law enforcement agency tasked with combating terrorism in this country and keeping people safe, and she wants to defund it. So I am not going to take any lectures from her on securing this homeland from terror. And with that, I yield back.
The idea that criminals are immigrants and immigrants are criminal is something that the right does intentionally.
They're going to send their bad people out. They're Black Lives Matter, they're Antifa. Oh, any foreigner that's here that doesn't belong here is going to be sent to your front door.
For the 2024 election, foreigners are going to be sent to your door?
The foreigners are already here, and they're already set up in the phone. And when somebody gives them the okay, they're going to come for us.
Where did you get this information?
What we're talking about is this idea that we have a problem bigger than we do. Let me clear it up. There's no immigrant invasion in America. Marjorie Taylor Green in the same sentence would say, we don't know how many people are in our country. Then she'll give you figures. We have 12 million to 20 million. That is a massive jump to be guessing. And then to say that we don't know how many, if you don't know how many, then you don't know who is. So in the same sentence, she said we have criminals, thugs, people from gang. How does Marjorie Taylor Green has this information? It's because she made it up. It's because it's a talking point. It is a talking point for the right to make people believe that we are losing our country. Now, the we and our is what's key here.
So I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. And the first thing I figured out was they weren't paying. We were paying. We were paying almost fully for NATO.
The idea that you are president of the United States and now in this case running to be president of the United States again and didn't know what NATO was and then stand on stage and give the stupid conversation about allowing Russia to attack our allies is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It should not be okay to be anti-history. It should not be okay to be anti-understanding of what our country is and who our allies are. But only in a climate where Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Green has conduced this people to believe that we don't need to be intelligent. We don't need to think beyond whatever they're saying because it makes no sense for us to believe that we need allies in the world, that we're not safer when we have allies. A country that has a statue in its busiest city, talking about New York, and the Statue of Liberty, that asks other people to send their immortal masses. America asks for immigrants. We are a country of immigrants. And guess what, white people? Every European American in this country is an immigrant or a descendant of an immigrant. Every single one. Every single one. So this anti-immigrant behavior is crazy, unhinged, and truly anti-American, because this country does not exist without immigrants. Those who stole land, those who were forced to come here, and those who are trying to get here because of policies that sometimes were enacted by our country that had negative effects on our borders, our neighbors to the south, and other parts of the world. These are realities that we don't talk about. Our politics are so ridiculous because people will spend weeks talking about Joe Biden is old. Well, no, Joe Biden didn't just get old. Joe Biden has been old since forever. It is not news making. Guess who else is old? Donald Trump. Guess what else is true? Donald Trump is out here praising Vladimir Putin, Orban, and also January 6th attackers on our capital, calling them hostages. And that is making less waves in America's media than is Joe Biden's age, as if people didn't know Joe Biden stutters. He stuttered his entire life. Who cares? Why are we not spending time on Donald Trump unless it's covering a rally from beginning to end? Yet and still, we'll talk about Joe Biden being old like he jumped from 30 to 90. It happened year after year after year. People that elected Joe Biden, unless they don't have any common sense, in the primary in 2020 knew how old he would be this year. People that voted for him in the primary knew how old he was going to be this year. We're not talking in real facts. Our politics are so immature that we would discard the fact that one of our candidates stutters for sure. That's Biden. But he's coherent on policy. He forgets words. He's 80 something. I'm 45 and forget. We're not being serious with our politics. Donald Trump doesn't even understand a biblical verse, yet they still allow him to call himself Christian. The media, CNN, unchecked, a 90-minute debate where it was said that Donald Trump lied about every 1 minute and 17 seconds. Unchecked it. And now they're carrying a narrative that Biden looks old in the debate and should drop out. This is how we lose democracy. I'm not telling you that I love Joe Biden as a candidate or as a president or as a person. I don't know him. What I am telling you, though, is get serious about your options. Get serious about your options. Dropping out of an election is a lie to American people to believe that you can win an election as a candidate who just named himself the candidate in July. If that is the case, why are we running presidential elections for an entire year before an election? Why are there $1 billion being spent on presidential elections all the way from the year before the presidential election year? If the idea that you could become president in a couple months, especially when people are going to start voting, not in 120 or so days, people start voting in a couple months. We are being duped to believe the BS that CNN and other mainstream media needs us to talk about, and not talk about the fact that if Donald Trump wins re-election, America will no longer be a democracy. And those are not my words. He said it. And Project 2025 explains how it will happen. He's talking about pardoning January 6th rioters, people who attack the Capitol to prevent the transfer of power. What makes you believe he's not going to do it again? When are we going to talk about the lies Donald Trump tells about his health? When? Until we're getting serious about our politics, we will continue to be the laughing stock of democracies around this world. I'm Mondale Robinson. Don't buy into the BS.